Welcome to the booth, Marshall Sutcliffe. I've got Randy Buehler with me here, and we are ready to do some drafting. So first, what we're going to do is take a look at our table. Is this pod 1, Randy?
This is pod 4.
This is pod 4.
These guys are 6-2 records, but wow, look how many names, right?
Huge names at this pod. You see Nam Sung-wook, Craig Wescoe, Tom Martell, Jelger Wiegersma.
Wow, 4 of them are all next.
Yeah, so this is a fully stacked table. Going to be pretty tough to sit down if you're, let's say Ryan Bremrose. He plays in GPs back home and, sits down and looks around and sees Tom Martell, Hall of Famer, directly to his right, Jelger Wiegersma. There's Craig Wescoe over there with multiple Pro Tour top 8s.
Shahar's kind of away from the other 4 name players, though, right?
Yeah, and then Shahar, you see sitting there, number 7 currently in the world as well. So awesome table lined up here, and we're going to be watching Shahar draft
the champ.
He's going to be drafting Dragons of Tarkir. So the booster format here, the booster draft format is 2 packs of Dragons of Tarkir followed by a Fate Reforged booster. It's relatively new. The players will have had a good idea now of how to draft after doing as much testing as they could from when the set came out till the Pro Tour here, but they're still figuring it out.
Yeah, I talked to Shahar briefly this morning, and he said he thinks that red and black are the best colors in Dragons. So he really prefers to be red or black. Doesn't want to be green. It's the worst color. White is good if you're going to get past it in Fate Reforged. So white's not great in Dragons. It's super good in Fate Reforged. So if it's being passed to you, maybe you switch in so you can get past a Fate Reforged rare, for example.
All right, let's head down to the feature match area now to watch some drafting. Hello and welcome to coverage of Pro Tour Dragons of Tarkir. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Randy Buehler, and we're underway in the second draft of the Pro Tour here. Randy, take a look at our feature drafter for this round, Shahar Shenhar, our 2-time world champion. And we're going to get a chance to see how Shahar approaches this draft format. So here he is opening his first Dragons of Tarkir booster pack. And he has flipped to the back to Gleam of Authority. That's an interesting one, Randy. It's an aura, which normally has a very high barrier to entry on whether you can play it in Limited and be happy about it. And that one actually seems to have exceeded that threshold. People seem to like Gleam of Authority quite a bit.
Yeah, now he's looking to see how many other white cards, like could he get Dromoka Warrior or Lightwalker back with his 9th pick out of the pack if he commits to white? I think that's what he's thinking about here. Seems, I think, to have settled on the Gleam as his pick. Now looking, Ojutai summons. Okay, goes for the Gleam.
Goes for the Gleam. I like that pick. It's a card that's easy to overlook. Just reading it, you're like, okay, Vigilance, and it kind of gets bigger and it can bolster, but you can actually get some value out of it the turn that you play it usually. And on top of it, it works really well in a bolster strategy because your creatures will often already have the counters, and your Gleam makes your creature absolutely huge. Silumgar's Sorcerer gets pulled to the front, and there's also a Deathwind, though. Atarka Beastbreaker. A really nice 2-drop as well, but not quite on par with Deathwind and Silumgar Sorcerer. So, this is where Shahar's going to have to decide which other color he wants to go in. The only white card that really caught his eye, he's got a Center Soul pulled to the front, and there was also a Student of Ojutai in the back. But again, neither of those compete with the power level of this blue and black cards he's found.
Yeah, he definitely has to be willing to abandon that white first pick if his white's not coming. He takes the Deathwind here, really solid removal spell. I think that makes sense. And if people are going to pass him Deathwind, he's delighted to be black. He just thinks it is one of the deepest colors in the format.
Yeah, Deathwind is great. Nice pickup for Shahar, so a decent start for him. There's a Dromoka Warrior right off the top, which, you could play that for sure. Nothing really else jumps out of this pack, though.
The pack's kind of weak.
Yeah, Sabertooth Outrider's a decent card, but nothing that's really going to push him. I think he's going to end up just taking the Dromoka Warrior out of the pack, but can't be too thrilled with it.
No, but I mean, what you want to get out of this is a signal. What's underdrafted? What are the guys on my right telling me it's the coast is clear on? And if there's an artful maneuver in the pack as well, another one of them. Oh, he goes Outrider. Sabertooth Outrider was the actual selection.
Okay. So Shahar is 3 for 3 on colors so far. Trying to stay open, trying to read the table, trying to make sure that he's in the right lane, as we say. And it looks like green is now a great open color for him. You know, you just mentioned signals, Randy. He gets past Den Protector and Stampeding Elkhart out of this pack.
There is a Dragon Hunter if he was set on white, but
which is decent. But you know, if
it's not as good as Den Protector,
right? Or the
Stampeding Elkhart.
He's going to stick
Dragon
in
Hunter.
it.
He wound up playing green yesterday, and he was very disappointed with his deck. He ended up playing a 3-color deck that was kind of base red green, splashing black for a couple of good cards, and you know he got some multi-lands to make it work, but did not want to draft green. You know, I actually heard William Jensen right before the draft saying Shahar should try to stay away from green.
This is crazy, though. Another Stampeding Elkhart is coming. It's clearly the most open color. You know, he was speculating early. Is it? I've been having...
Well, it's the worst color in Fate Reforged. There's nothing. Okay. There's Whisperer of the Wilds and then actual nothing. And he does not take the Elkhart. He went for the Monument instead of the Stampeding Elkhart. So, yeah,
so he just does not want to be green.
Yeah, he's clearly bending over backwards to not be the green drafter here. He gave in yesterday, wound up with he pulled off a 2-1, but with a deck that he was just clearly unhappy with. And didn't want to wind up there again.
And now things don't look amazing. He's looking at Meringue River Skeleton as his best option. And, while a serviceable Magic card, it's certainly nothing exciting.
Yeah, what are you supposed to do in Fate Reforged if you're green? Other than Whisperer, there aren't any cards for you.
I have to think about it.
Now there's nothing, though.
He's found a Marsh Hulk to the front here.
Okay, that's solid.
Yeah, it's fine. And there's
unspectacular, but
Territorial Rock.
It's got to be Marsh Hulk, given what he's done so far. I mean, his best card's probably the Deathwind, right?
You know, every time somebody says that card, I think they're saying my name.
It is your card.
Without fail.
You willing to admit to that publicly? You'll never hear the end of it now.
Oh, I never do anyway.
So
here's the Shambling Goblin now for Shahar. White hasn't really been coming through.
Yeah, he had the Belief Flirtation with red. I mean, Summit Prowler's probably better than Shambling Goblin if you don't have a bunch of exploit stuff, which he doesn't.
But he's
the
really
Shambling Goblin, though, he knows he's black, and he's only got like 1 red card. He's probably not going to wind up red. Oh, is this the kind of draft where you have to take Evolving Wilds?
It might be. You know, I will say, though, the overall power level of these packs hasn't been very high either.
Assuming you think Stampeding Elkhart is to be avoided.
Well, so the early packs had a lot of green in them, but then these last 4 or 5 picks have all not even had good green cards in them.
True.
There's a Student of Ojutai that he wheeled here, though. That's a nice pickup. Student's a solid card, and even though the white hasn't been flowing, that's a positive sign for Shahar.
Did not see the Warrior or the Artful Maneuver from his opening pack, though.
That's right.
I mean, Tormenting Voice is the playable. I guess some people play Tower Shell.
Yeah, some people Tomb Shell. Yeah, people play that. You got to be really controlling, but all right. And we've entered the last stage of the pack. But I got to say, if I'm sitting in Shahar's seat, I'm pretty bummed out right now. This pack has not gone well for him at all.
His deck is not good.
No,
his deck is not good at all. He cannot possibly be happy.
No, really didn't want to be green. Stayed away from it, and
first picked a white card, but white wasn't open. I mean, every time you first pick a white card, you're just hoping it gets past to you. And it really didn't.
And he got one little glimmer of hope with that Student, but even that's not a big signal.
Right. I mean, the Dragon Hunter, wow. So what is he? He's black-white? He's maybe setting up for Harsh Sustenance?
He could be. That is a nice payoff. But this deck is not come together. He's going to really need a lot of help out of this second pack to make this work.
I actually feel like it's slightly better than I thought it was. Like, he's got the makings of a black-white deck. If there's a couple of Harsh Sustenances opened in Fate Reforged that all find their way to him, right?
I think he has 6 playables, maybe 7.
But his position is, I think, a little better.
Okay.
I mean, I think that all the Harsh Sustenances, sometimes there just isn't a black-white player, right? And Harsh Sustenances can circle the table until somebody finally throws one in their sideboard.
Yeah, I think his seat wants to be a red-green deck. I think that, if you just follow the signals color-wise, if you don't have a preference, you're in green, and then you pick that Summit Prowler a little later, and all of a sudden you got the formidable deck going. I think that's where...
Yeah, of the friendly color pairs, and there's really the five archetypes sitting in Dragons. I agree with you. The one that was most open was red-green.
Yeah, and he's got a Flatten here that he's pulled to the front, so that's a nice pickup. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that one of the quick questions that was contemplated yesterday, if you have to start your draft with a common, what common do you want to start with? Mm-hmm. And it was universal. Everybody in the room said Flatten.
Oh, wow.
If if I don't get a good uncommon or rare, I want Flatten. It's a good removal spell, and it's in a good color. Is arguably the best common in the set.
It is definitely high on the list. Shahar is taking a look at the white cards that he might get back out of this pack as well. A few 2-drops in white floating around as he takes the Flatten. Okay, so he's happy with that pick. Let's see if the black and the white keeps flowing for him here in this next one.
He certainly didn't pass much white.
No,
Corpse Swift.
There's a Corpse Swift and there's a Hand of Silumgar he's got there as well. Now, Corpse Swift is an interesting one. Have you had a chance to play with that card yet?
I've played against it.
I have too.
It's pretty good.
It did work. I wouldn't say it blew my mind or anything, but I think the card holds its own. It's certainly worth looking at here.
It's not oh my goodness, windmill slam first pick good, but it's good. It does more than it looks like it does.
I think he'd probably prefer to have it in with blue as well, but he'll take what he can get here.
Did he go for the Corpse Swift or the Hand of Silumgar? I didn't see.
He took the Corpse Swift.
Okay. That makes sense to me. It seems better than Hand.
All right, let's see what's next for Shahar here. Oh,
yep.
Erishan Foremost comes to the front. Okay, now we're in business.
He certainly didn't pass any white to his left.
That's right. We saw this similarly yesterday with Jacob Wilson, where he stuck to the guns in white, and even though he didn't have that many white cards coming out of the first pack, he certainly didn't pass any, and that's similar to what Shahar did here, and now he's going to get hooked up. That is a nice one. Erishan Foremost is fantastic. You can see what it does on the right-hand side of your screen there, but, you had me sold at 3 mana 2/2 double strike. The other stuff I'll take, but he's really going to be sad he didn't get that Dromica Warrior back, though, now, because that's a pretty nice little combo.
Pacifism.
Jeez.
Yep.
So the white flowing freely here from the left-hand side of Shahar. It's not going to be the case in the third pack, but he's getting it while the getting's good.
Look, it is super deep in the third pack. I mean, I don't think he'll get nothing.
Oh,
he'll
for
get
the
more
first
white out of
3
pack
to 4 picks, sure.
Yeah, he'll get more white out of pack 3 than he got out of pack 1.
It's true.
Just because there's so much of it in Fate Reforged.
Yeah.
I mean, the best color in Fate Reforged, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. Sandstep Outcast, really kind of a headliner. Some of the uncommons are insane, too.
The rares are insane.
Yeah, that goes without saying.
Well, but the white rares are even more insane than the
true.
other colors.
Like, which siege do you want? Well, the white one.
Master of the Unseen, yeah. How high are you on Vial of Dragonfire?
I'm mediocre on it, but I do think it's playable. I think people should play it a little bit more than I have seen it be played. The fact that you can pay for it in the installment plan, as we say, where you can pay the 2 and just leave it alone. I think a lot of people falsely just say, but it costs 4 mana to do 2 damage. That's not very good. But that flexibility of being able to play it one turn and activate it on a completely different turn when it's relevant is really nice. That said, still not super efficient, so I don't think you should be, devoting high picks to it. But it's a good card. All right, Dutiful Attendant. Dromoka Dunecaster. What else is he have? A Minister of Pain in his hand here.
Yeah, I think the Minister's the pick.
Okay. Getting a little bit of exploit going. It is very good against some decks. It's quite good against Shahar's deck probably as well.
And the thing is, it's a 2/3 body.
Yeah.
I mean, 3 mana 2/3 is serviceable.
It is.
And then there will be scenarios where, you run into a token deck or, you have your Shambling Goblin, so you're able to kill a 2/2 and...
Yeah. Here's a Lightwalker now for Shahar, which is, he's not really maximizing on it in his deck, but it's probably going to make the cut.
Yeah, nothing better here. I mean, if you had a bunch of bolster, then you'd feel a little better about the Lightwalker if you had, Sandcrafter mages and whatnot.
Exactly.
Does have his first pick enchantment.
That works too.
But that's it so far.
So a Karsi Sadist is the only on-color card for him in the pack. Pretty underwhelming. There's a Sprinting Warbrute that he's pulled to the front.
Warbrute's great.
I mean, that's a good card.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of good red cards in Dragons. This is, below the 3 removal spells at common, but, maybe it's the 4th or 5th best common, when it would be... it's very good. Red's super deep.
Okay, so Scale Blessing came back, but Herald of Dromica did as well. And interestingly, he's going to go for the Scale Blessing. If you've ever had a chance to resolve that, in the right deck, it can do huge, huge things. I don't think that Shahar's deck is perfect for it, but he might still be able to get good value out of it.
I mean, look, the worst case scenario is it's 4 mana, give this creature +2/+2 permanently, which is not really worth 4 mana.
No.
But that's the worst case scenario.
But that's
and
the bottom of it.
Yeah, if you have anything else going on, it does suddenly become a worthy 4 mana trick.
That's right. Fate Forgotten, a sideboard card here for Shahar. Well, I have to say that pack went quite well. The white was flowing freely. He picked up some really efficient beaters. Erish and Foremost. He also got a pacifism out of the pack. So this worked out pretty well. The Flatten's going to add to his removal suite as well. And, you know, the payoff is supposed to come in Fate Reforged, right? The fact that he's stuck in white is supposed to be, you know, he's supposed to get a bunch of good white commons, uncommons, and maybe even if he's lucky, and he is, some rares. All right, let's take a look at Shahar's deck as he thumbs through it here. He's pulling a few white cards out, but you can say he's pretty firmly here in.
Yeah, he has a red splash available to him. I mean, he has a couple of fatties in red. But
you just want to see a roast or something along those lines as opposed to, you know, some Sabertooth or something like that.
Yeah, ideally, the cards you play in your splash color are cards that are good whenever you finally do draw the one mountain, rather than cards that are ideal. You know, play it on turn on curve. 4/2 for 4 is great on turn 4. It's not like, oh, I finally drew my splash color. Here's my 4/2. Yeah, I don't think he's actually going to splash red there.
That pack was great, though. You know, Shahar's deck coming in looked a little sketchy, and now I have to say it's you know, moved itself up to solid.
Yeah, he's definitely thinking about the red splash. The Kolagon Monument helps. He's got kind of a free source of red there. He's got an Evolving Wilds already. He's kind of got 2 free sources of red mana right now. Not that his red cards are spectacular, but it is a live option if it works out that way, this pack. Now then. Man, Fate Reforged.
This is the hookup.
I mean, he doesn't.
The first question is what's his rare, right?
Of course. And like the ideal thing with white is to get 3 or 4 packs worth of rares because nobody in your right wants to take them.
His Sandstep Mastodon is what he ended up opening up. So unfortunately, he's not going to be able to play that. And Honor's Reward is going to be his pick out of the pack. Ugh.
Typhoid Rats.
Typhoid Rats, I think, is a competitor for that, though. You know,
I might take Typhoid Rats.
He does have a few, you know, cares about +1/+1 counters cards in his deck already. Also, you know, he could try to set up a combo where he like honors rewards onto his Erish and Foremost and just create something that must attack every turn. But Rats is certainly the more solid card out of the 2. Yeah. But it does look like Shahar wants to beat down, and Honors Reward does a better job at enabling that than the Rats does. So
yeah, and he actually has multiple things to care about +1/+1 counters.
Mm-hmm, he does. He can't be happy to have first pick that, though. Sandstep Outcast is the type of card he wants to see. Elite Scale Guard, something like that. There's an Obzon Sky Captain off the top, which will help. Wow, these packs have been bad for Shahar. Sky Captain is a playable card, but look what he's passing.
Yeah,
Temur War Shaman.
I think there's a Heel Cutter in there, too.
I just want to know who's in green at this table. Like, he just passed Sandstep Mastodon, which is a complete bomb, and now he's going to have to pass the Temur War Shaman. Wherever these green cards are pooling up, I'm assuming the person directly on his left is heavily in green after seeing 2 Stampeding Elkerd and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and the guy on Shahar's left should be green.
The guy on Shahar's left should also hug Shahar for giving him he just passed him 2 bombs.
Guy on Shahar's left, I've got Tim Willoughby whispering in my ear from the floor. First pick, Sandstep Mastodon.
And then got past one?
Yes.
And then got past Temur War Shaman?
Yes.
Okay, so his top end is taken care of. Where's all the Whisperer of the Wilds? That's what he needs now. Okay, now here's a Bathe in Dragonfire in an otherwise empty pack, and it's starting to look a little better. That's the kind of card you want to splash.
Yeah.
Arcbond.
Bloodfell Caves might come back around, maybe.
Yeah, that would really make that splash a lot more viable.
Probably not, but I mean, if there's no red-black player, then maybe.
Yeah. That does happen sometimes. It's less likely given that it's a dragon pair, but
he's thinking about the Arcbond too, right?
He is, yeah.
Bathe is clearly the worst case scenario for Bathe is a lot higher than the worst case scenario with Arcbond.
That's right.
Best case scenario with Arcbond can just be insane, but it's a swingy card. It is hard to set up the scenarios where you get to extract maximum value. Bathe doesn't ask that much of you. Just pointed at a thing that you want dead.
There's a light form at the back of this pack as well as a Sandblast and a Merciless Executioner. So this pack finally got good for him. Also, Hunt the Weak. There's one of your payoffs for being in green. We were talking about that earlier.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It is.
I'm not super stoked on it, but I think it is one of the cards you
epic
look forward to. That's true. So Shahar has to decide if he wants a threat or an answer. He decides for a threat with light form. I like that pick. I think that was clearly the pick, even over a quality card like Sandblast.
Yeah, I mean, he's got black removal. I mean, a lot of white decks are desperate for removal and might need to take a Sandblast there, but not when you've got Threaten and Deathwind.
Exactly.
Or Flatten, Deathwind.
So here is a Dragon Bell Monk for Shahar. You know, basically a filler card, but it'll make the cut. Solid C there. See that there's another honors reward in the pack.
I was going to say, isn't that card first pickable? Apparently.
Don't think Shahar would be too stoked about having two of them. He's also has to make the... he has to make curve consideration picks at this point, too. How many creatures does he have? Where does he need them? There's a Sultai Emissary for him.
There's the Harsh Sustenance.
Harsh Sustenance. Now, how many cards are left in this pack here? It looks like about 9 or 10.
It's not coming back.
Look, those things go really... Look at the count. See, this is the eternal optimism of youth here. He's
Look at that Whisperer.
Can I get it back? Yeah, there's a Whisperer.
Oh, the green deck was here. I think you have to Harsh Sustenance. It's just not coming back. I mean, the Emissary is not going to come back either, but Harsh Sustenance just is better for this deck. It's not like he's got a bunch of exploit. He's got, what, just the Minister of Pain for exploit?
Yeah.
It's a solid Typhoid Rats.
Yeah, Rats is fine.
Another Whisperer for the green deck.
Lotus Eye Mystics is interesting. Does he have any... He's got his first pick aura.
Right.
Guess that might make it worth it.
He's got a pacifism.
And he's got a pacifism. And those do tend to end up in the graveyard
Your
somewhat
creatures,
often.
those creatures can die, get exploited.
They get exploited.
Even 3-2 for 4 is serviceable.
Yeah, I don't think... With prowess. And I don't think he's super stacked at 4-drop yet either. So.
Right.
Yeah, Fearsome Awakening, Pressure Point. I suppose you just take the Pressure Point here, but...
Yeah, I do think Fearsome Awakening got better with all the dragons that are in the format now.
Yeah.
They didn't get... Shahar didn't wind up with a bunch of dragons, though.
He ended up with 0. He's dragonless here.
Right.
It can get back a non-dragon.
Right.
A little clunky to do, but... Looks like Shahar just doesn't have any interest in a Pressure Point, though. And what does he find here? Tassiger's Cruelty. Abzan Rune Mark back there, so nothing really going here for Shahar in this pack. And it looks like he's wound down. He'll be happy to...
It's Abzan Advantage,
Oh, it's Abzan Advantage. Oh, okay. Yeah, sideboard.
Yeah.
And now it's a Great Horn Krushak for Shahar, and this is winding down his draft. So, Randy, as we watch his last few picks, how do you think the deck ended up?
It's not good.
It is not good.
I mean, it's playable.
Yeah.
Shahar's a great player. I mean, his ability to eke wins out of bad draft decks is kind of impressive. I mean, it's probably better than the 3-color deck E2 won with yesterday.
This deck does look consistent. He certainly didn't go out on a limb much. He's not taking a lot of risk with this draft, but it does feel like the upside isn't that high. And remember, people have huge bombs in their deck.
Certainly the green mage on his left is...
Yeah. And Shahar's deck looks solid, but it's not like it has, a hyper-aggressive game plan.
Right. It's solid.
Did you see the last 3 picks? Triple rune marks.
Solid, but unspectacular. Yeah, I feel like I give the deck a C+.
Yeah. C plus?
Yeah, C+.
Yeah.
And in terms of Shahar's ability to draft the seat, it's sort of tougher to say. It's like he clearly wanted to avoid green at all costs, so he ignored the signal. He saw the signals.
They were there.
They were there, and he was just like, no, I tried this yesterday, and my deck was terrible. It would have worked out better today than yesterday. He could have had a great green deck, so I don't think you can give him high marks for drafting the seat, but I mean, some of it comes down to like, do you believe this belief that avoid green at all costs?
Right, and if Shahar is, anti-green in the format, then the picks make sense. I think otherwise, though, he was still open enough where you should move in on those cards, and
you have to really hate green to pass the deck that he passed.
He must. He really must, because those cards were very good and quite late. I mean, Stampeding Elkhart has really performed well for me in the format so far. And if I get 1/5 pick or whatever, and I see that in the pack with another good green card, that to me is a strong signal. I'm not one to jump on signals too quickly when it comes from, it's my 3rd pick or something like that. It's more, when I see a 4th and a 5th pick, and he got them back to back as well.
Right. It was an interesting draft to watch, for sure.
Yeah, that was fun. And I'm curious to see what Shahar can do it. I mean, you mentioned it before, but he is very, very good at eking out wins from decks like this where it's just solid, right?
Right.
All right, why don't we send it back to the news desk and Richard Hagan.